ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणं मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधा भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। What a wonderful and practical advice Bhagavan Sri Krishna gave us in the verses 16 and 17 of this chapter 6 on Dhyana Yoga, on Atma Sanyama Yoga. Be moderate in food, in your activities, in your speech, in sleep, in everything. Avoid excess, avoid doing less than what is required. Find what is optimum and live in a manner that you always do appropriate things in appropriate measure. Now we proceed further to a very beautiful verse 18. Time and again, Sri Krishna points out the bliss of the withdrawn mind. Number 18. Yada viniyatam chittam atmanyevavatishtate nispraha sarvakamebhyo yukta ityuchyate tada. Yada tada. Even those who don't know any Sanskrit may make a good beginning learning these two words. Yada means when and tada means then. Rest of it you may speak in English, but introduce these words once in a while. Yada my guests come, tada I will serve coffee to them. In this way you may bring these two words. So the context here is we are so unwilling to withdraw our mind from sense objects. A lot of people are into the so-called spirituality, but they don't want to give up any of their comforts. They don't want to make any change in food or drink or all those. How will it be possible? You want to continue to live the way you have always been living, then you cannot grow spiritually. As Swami Vivekananda emphasized in some of his talks, no pain, no gain. We have to welcome the pain of not enjoying maybe some ice cream, not enjoying maybe some talkativeness. We should learn to listen, what I mean. We have to welcome the pain of sometimes missing a certain pleasurable activity and we must do what is our duty. That is how our mind gets trained to turn inward. Viniyatam, yata itself means control. Niyata is controlled well, viniyatam controlled very well. The Upasarga sometimes brings such a sense of emphasis. Yada viniyatam chittam, withdraw the mind and do what? Fix it in the Atma. Atmani eva avatishtate. If you have been studying Vedanta, you are sure to have certain understanding of your nature being just existence awareness. Even in the transactional world, many a time, people do not know who they are. Who was that? It was said about some prime minister, I guess in our country, India only, who was for long years in the opposition benches. Maybe somebody like Moraji Desai or Vajpayee, someone like that. So when he became the prime minister, it took some time for him to realize that he is now the prime minister. I do not remember who it was, but just once there was a slip of tongue. He was the prime minister, but presiding over a meeting, he just said, as he had done all the years, we will ask the prime minister to answer this question. Because as opposition, they always targeted the prime minister. But now he was the prime minister. Then immediately, maybe halfway through the sentence, he stopped himself. And that has a semblance to our journey towards self-knowledge. We are so used to looking at ourselves as a personality subject to change, subject to rise and fall, subject to praise and insult, subject to hunger and thirst. And it becomes so difficult. However, like I said, the new prime minister has to see clearly. I am now the prime minister. I cannot put the prime minister in third person anymore. Now the prime minister is in first person, I. Likewise, in the Vedanta, as Swami Paramarthanandji always emphasizes, a systematic, sustained study is required. You read about some Mahatma and you get overexcited and you think that you can take a shortcut. It's like you read about Srinivasa Ramanujan, to whom advanced mathematical formulae or equations just came from somewhere, from some divine source maybe. To you and me, it won't come. You and I have to study addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, differentiation, integration, and then go further and further to grapple with the intricacies, the nuances of mathematics. Likewise, in the Vedanta, don't think you are another Ramana Maharshi. If you are one, God bless you. That is wonderful, but it's highly unlikely. 999 out of 1,000 have to work hard. I've been reading a wonderful book on mindset, the new psychology of success, by a professor in Stanford University, psychology, Carol Dweck. And there are hundreds of things she says which are full of meaning. And one of the things she says is, even those who are talented have to work hard. If a talented lady, for example, imagines, I am very talented, I am a bright girl, I am a prodigy. My parents said to me even when I was 4 years old that you are brilliant. And because I am so brilliant, I don't have to work much. Great insights will come to me in a jiffy, in a flash. Hold on. However brilliant you may be, number one, you too have to work hard. Number two, you too have to learn some of the ways in which you put a team together. Let me not make it some discourse on management now. Bring back, if you and I study Vedanta steadily over a length of time, sincerely, and sort out a whole lot of confusion, then what this Atma is becomes more and more clear. Only if you have a clear understanding of what is meant by Atma, your true nature, then your mind can stay avatishtate. Avasthana is the noun form. Avatishtate. So tishtati is the original form. With ava upasarga, it becomes atmanepadi. Avatishtate. Sanskrit language, like any other language, has its own, you know, its own unique features. We have a root called ram, to enjoy. So we say ramate. But once you add upasarga vi, it is not viramate, but it is viramati. Okay. Chittam atmani avatishtate. The mind for millions or billions of times took the form of I am the boss here, others have to listen to me. Or I am nobody, I have to listen to everyone. I am a woman, I am a man, I am a scholar, I am an illiterate. So many ways. The mind always said, I am this, I am that. Thanks to a disciplined life, thanks to a life where you exercised alertness, awareness, you can shift the gear. Who am I? I am the light of consciousness. Sat aham, chit aham, ananda aham. This answer will come from within you if you have studied the Vedanta properly, not going on flights of fancy, not singing songs on Vedanta, not singing shlokas in a melodious way, but not understanding what they mean. There are so many traps. Even scholars like me sometimes get more caught in the Sanskrit, in the grammar and in the metaphors, in the similes and in the alankara, in the sahitya, and we miss the main point. Therefore, with due respect to all those grandeur of language, language should be secondary. Tattva should be primary. Tattva. Therefore, make your mind stay in the right perception. I am the Atma. Yada chittam atmani avatishtate. Then you know what? More you stay in the Atma, you will more spontaneously, naturally, which means without effort, sarvakamebhyaha nispraha. You will not want, you will not desire, will not go after fleeting pleasures. then you are yuktaha, you are a yogi then. Neither by listening to thousands of discourses nor by delivering thousands of discourses. Anybody becomes yukta. But a person becomes yukta when her mind, with all alertness, not in sleepiness, all alertness, withdraws from the good old forms of indulgence. Shankaracharya explains Yada Viniyatam Visheshena Niyatam Sanyatam Ekagratam Apannam. It has attained, it has come upon certain concentration, which again means Hitva Bahya Chintam. It lets go of thoughts about external matters. For wealth, fame, name, or sometimes settling score with somebody, taking revenge with somebody, etc. They come forcibly, they come with great force, into our mind. But all that is Bahya Chinta. Bahya Chintam Hitva Jahati means to leave. Tyaktva Ityartha. Leave it. Atmani eva kevale avatishtati. Kevala means of the purest form, having no divisions, no distinctions. Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata Bheda Rahitam Kevalam is a definition. Svatmani Stitim Labati. This is the ultimate goal. Not miracles, not supernatural powers, not being able to write voluminous books, not being able to speak hours and hours on Vedanta, not starting some big ashram, preside over that as the Mathadipati, not get invited to international conferences on religion, spirituality. They are all of no use. What is important is Atmani Stitim Labate. Nispraha Sarvakamebyah Nirgataha Drishta Vishebhyah Spraha. No, Spraha is singular. Nirgata, not Nirgataha. Nirgata Drishta Adrishta Vishebhyah Spraha. That longing. You are driving by Lal Bagh in Bangalore. You are going from point A to point B on some work. But as you are driving by Lal Bagh, morning 9:30, the thought arises. It's a long time since I ate that masala dosa in MTR. In Bangalore, there is a famous old-time restaurant, MTR. Mavalli Tiffin Rooms. The dosa there is famous. I have heard that it is sent to Bombay by flight to some businessmen who want MTR dosa during their 11 a.m. meeting. The morning flight dosas used to go. The memory that you had eaten the dosa at MTR a few times, and now it's more or less 3 years since we dropped in there. So you stop your car rather than proceeding on the work, and you go, and it may take its own time. Spruha is thus some memory rising and then generating a longing, a desire to enjoy something on whatever level, gross or subtle. That is Trishna. The Buddha called it Tanna, thirst. Yasya yoginaha Trishna Spruha Nirgata Bhavati Saha Yuktaha Samahita. Samahita means he is well gathered. Earlier, the energy of his mind was going in many directions. Now, samahita is samadhi, samadhana means collecting, to gather. Iti uchyate tasmin kale. And this master of spiritual communication, Sri Krishna, now gives one of the celebrated illustrations of Bhagavad Gita. Shankara introduces us to the 19th verse, Tasya yoginaha samahitam yat chittam tasya upama uchyate. Upama means comparison. They say Kalidasa was extraordinarily skilled in giving illustrations. Upama Kalidasasya, there is certain shloka. And some other poet for wonderful meanings. Some other poet for Padalalityam. Kalidasasya upama anyasya kavehe kasyachit arthagauravam. Then someone else Padalalityam. And then somebody had all the three, some shloka. Upama. Please, for heaven's sake, don't pronounce it as Upma. Upama. Upama. Kalidasasya. Atra Upama Bhagavataha Sri Krishnasya. Shankara says, Upama Uchyate, a nice illustration for that collected mind. Yatha Deepo Nivatastho Ningate Sopama Smrita Yogino Yata Chittasya Ninjato Yogamatmanaha. Just as Deepa, don't think of an electric lamp. This is a lamp with oil, or it can be the flame of a candle. Nivatastha. Don't translate it as having no air, no oxygen around, the flame will be put out. No blowing winds, no breeze. At a lot of functions, we light the lamp during inauguration, and right at that time or a little later, because some fans are on, all the flames get put out. But when there is no such breeze, Nivata, Vata means wind, Nivata, no wind. Ni can at places mean negative, absence of wind. Na ingate, na chalati. Sa upama smrita. That is the illustration wise people give for yogina, for a yogi. The yogi is like that. Yogi, who is he? Yatachittasya. Somebody whose mind is controlled is like a flame without flicker. Yogino yatachittasya yogam yunjataha. And he has been practicing yoga. Which yoga? Atmanaha yoga. This great spiritual practice which leads us to abiding by the pure self. In Northern California, there is a spiritual institution run by white Americans. It is named as SAT, S-A-T, in a city called Santa Cruz, not far from Silicon Valley or San Jose. S-A-T, SAT. And a nice name given to that institution, which is inspired by Sri Ramana Maharshi. By the way, for some of the people who established it were white Americans who were regularly coming to Tiruvannamalai, and then they set up that very nice place. But what does SAT, S-A-T mean? Society for Abidance in Truth. S for society, A for abidance, T for truth. Society for abidance in truth. So that is Atmanaha Yoga. We are concerned with staying as the pure self. That is on top. Rest of it are secondary. So someone who is practicing this exalted yoga of staying as the pure self is comparable with a flame in a windless spot. Yatha deepah pradipah nivatastah nivate vatavarjite deshe stitah. Adi Shankara comes down to our level and gives even for simple words, some explanation. Nivata means Vata Varjita. Nivatastaha, Nivate, Vata Varjite, Deshe Stitaha, Na Ingate, Na Chalati, Sa Upama Smrita is said in the shloka. Bhagavan Bhashyakara says, Upama means, how does the word Upama come? Upamiyate Anaya, iti Upama. Nice etymology, nice definitions for words. Upamiyate, because ma means to measure, ma means to assess, ma means to find out something with respect to its true nature. Therefore, the word pramana comes. Pramata, prama, all of them have this root, ma. The passive voice of it is miyate. Active voice could be mati or mimite. All right. Upamiyate, to measure in comparison. Upa means close. You have a ring on your finger, and I have one too. I compare with your ring on your ring finger. I compare my ring with yours. By keeping it very close and seeing, one moment I see your ring, another moment I see my ring, and say they're so identical. What a coincidence. You must have bought it somewhere. I received it somewhere else. But they are so identical. Upa, Samipe, Sthapaitva. Keep them there and compare. Ah, they are so much alike. Like that, the mind of a yogi and a flame without flicker are compared, and they are so similar. Yogadnehi chitta prachara darshibhi smrita chintita. Who gives this illustration? Not a mere dry intellectual who only imagines things. Those who know yoga, those who have walked the path, those who have seen what it is to be free of likes and dislikes, to be free of anger and revenge, to be free of negativities, to be free of regrets of yesterday, and so on. A fresh, purified mind. Those who have a pure mind are indeed blessed. Our mind can go to what some spiritual teachers call higher vibrations, or our mind can be in lower vibrations. Mind also is a form of energy, and energy very often is pictured as consisting of vibrations. Sound has certain frequency, light has certain frequency. I guess that cannot be said about heat, which is also energy. It cannot be said about potential energy, but about light and sound and many other, you can talk about higher frequency, lower frequency. That's enough. Likewise, our mind, in a manner of saying, can be in higher frequency, higher energy, then it is very compassionate, peaceful. Lower energy coming down is to pick a fight on every small thing. to worry, to brood over some incident where we were not respected or given attention. So they are yogajnas who have reached those higher levels. And they especially know chitta prachara darshibhi. They are able to see how the mind operates, how the egoistic mind operates, how the mind free of ego operates. They give this illustration. To whom or about whom yoginaha yata chittasya sanyata antakaranasya yunjataha yogam anutishtatah atmanah samadhim anutishtatah ityartah. Atmanah samadhi. He is trying to collect himself and be anchored in the pure self. Later we will have a line, very powerful line, which says, Atma sanstam manakrutva nakinchidapi chintayet. Fix your mind in the understanding of your true nature and let go of all other thoughts. Evam yogabhyasa balad ekagri bhutam nivata pradipakalpam sat. Sat means being. The mind being comparable with a flame in a windless spot, which means ekagri bhutam, has become so concentrated. Does it happen by chance? No. Yogabhyasa balat. It is by the strength of long years of practice. About that, it is further said in the next two verses. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati sukam atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam etri yatra na chaivayam stitaschalati tattvatah. More and more he talks about how as there is greater intelligence in you, viveka, therefore it's not a matter of mere willpower. Willpower has a place, but more importantly, intelligence. You see the waste of time, waste of energy when you go for worldly pleasures. Therefore, uparamate, the mind withdraws. Yatra uparamate chittam, because yoga sevaya niruddham. The mind had tried 1,000 times to run out, run away. But this yoga abhyasini lady, every time, with all patience, without fretting and fuming about her mind's behavior, she withdrew it. That is called yoga seva. And that is how the golden moments began to come about. She was able to see the true nature of her own and by herself, not remembering some shloka or not with the support of some symbol, just by herself, eyes closed. Atmana eva atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. She experiences great contentment. She feels so unburdened without having to run away really from duties. The big mistake all of us make is we think that if I am freed from this work or that duty or that responsibility, if instead of working here I could work there, etc. At best, they all may have some marginal benefit. We do agree sometimes a place of indifferent place and desha, kala, etc. do help a little bit. But primarily, it is our own persistent effort. Niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaiva atmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. And the happiness that the yogi or yogini experiences is atyantikam. There is nothing higher than that happiness. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam. Your own buddhi knows it. It then says, this is incomparable. Atindriyam. It's beyond the senses. We are so used to enjoyments through senses. Somebody other day shared with me in Mumbai. Not anything new really, but he said it with certain passion. He said, if we can bring our weakness for delicious food under control. It is said in the Shastras, he said. I don't know which Shastra where, but he said, Shastras say, if we can control our palate, the desire to eat good food, to have some delicious drink, then everything else can be managed. Then I shared with him what I had heard from a certain scholar long back. How do we decide someone is honest? And a certain scholar in Bengaluru had said to me, Yaha vitte shuchihi sa shuchihi. That was the Sanskrit line he quoted. Whoever is absolutely clean in dealing with money will be clean everywhere else. That was a statement. Some of you may not agree with that. But this friend in Mumbai said to me, if you can control your desire for delicious food, then you can control everything else in your mind. And that scholar in Bangalore said to me, those who are honest in money-related matters will be honest in everything else. It has great force in the statements. If not 100%, I guess it's true in a large number of cases. There's a certain interrelationship between one weakness and other weaknesses. Those who have a weakness for delicious food, are likely to compromise in many other matters. Those who even a little bit money they put to their own pocket are likely to be dishonest in many other areas of life. Because it's not so much to do with money or food, it's a certain tendency of the mind where part of the mind says, don't do it, it's not right. And the other part says, nothing will happen. So that tendency to say nothing will happen, go ahead, enjoy, right? That tendency will show its ugly head, raise its ugly head in some other circumstances where it may not be about money or food. But here, Atindriyam, through primarily intelligence and maybe a little bit of willpower, this yogi withdraws his mind and enjoys the bliss. So someone may say, why is it said Atindriyam? It should be Ati Buddhi also. It's beyond mind, beyond intellect, beyond senses, beyond. Some people are very fond of, in the Vedanta classes, imagining Brahman beyond. They like that word beyond. But here it is said Buddhi Grahyam. Sri Krishna doesn't say it is beyond Buddhi. He says Buddhi can know. Well, we do agree that Brahma or Atma is beyond speech and mind, buddhi and so on. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. All of us know that statement. The truth is beyond words, that is speech, and thought, that is mind, which includes buddhi. Then why is it said buddhi grahyam? We are not saying here that buddhi, the intellect, can bring the Atma as though within its boundaries or within its limits. No. Buddhi is a puny small thing. Atma has no boundaries. Then why is it said buddhi grahyam? The same buddhi which earlier said aha about delicious food and those pleasures now says, ah, this is bliss. The buddhi understands. In no way the buddhi is superior or more pervasive. In order to hold a fruit, my hand should be larger than the fruit. I can hold it. If the fruit is a huge 1 meter diameter, I cannot hold it. In order to hold a fruit, my hand should be reasonably big so that I can hold the fruit. Like that, if buddhi were to hold the Atma, then buddhi has to be superior. Buddhi cannot be superior. So this is not about that kind of vyapti. It's kind of a buddhi is immersed in bliss. Vetti yatra na chaivayam sthitas chalati tatvada. Yatra vetti, someone knows this happiness, and the na of the third quarter, chalati of the fourth quarter have to be taken together. Ayam yatra sthitaha, established in that supreme truth, na chalati, does not move from that understanding. Tattvata. In this way, Bhagavan Sri Krishna not only gives us greater clarity, but inspires us. Don't we want this happiness? Don't we want this pleasure? Don't we want this bliss? Every one of us says, I want that bliss, but I also want to eat such and such food, listen to such and such music. You want to have the cake and eat it too. No, not that way. A little bit here and there. That Sri Krishna doesn't mind. All he asked us to do is yukta hara vihara. If here and there you go for some enjoyment, Lord Krishna is not opposed to it. But you get enslaved to pleasures. You are on way to a satsang, and then the thought comes, why not I stop here and take a bite of this and then go, and you go late to the satsang, 10 minutes, 15 minutes late, for the silly reason that on the way to the satsang at some ashram, you took a break which was not scheduled, not planned. You were passing by some restaurant and you stopped by to enjoy something. And Sri Krishna would not approve that, even if it is just a little bit. At the wrong time, that was lack of discretion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.